Hi, welcome. My name is Dale McCluskey. In this video, it's part of my series called Flipping the Script. I want to focus in once again on the main ingredients, okay, when it comes to a process by way of the role of influence, with engaging and being dialed into the relationship, as well as a dog's state of mind based again on the level of stinking thinking, okay, that is happening based again on how control is manifesting towards other dogs, other people, other situations. Once you're experiencing a relationship problem with your dog. Now, again, I talk about the problem by way of those who advocate training as a learning-based exercise, by way of those who identify as balanced and force-free dog trainers. And again, when you look at balanced dog trainers, again, one of the central themes that is missing is in terms of, again, the role of influence as it relates to coming into a process with intercepting, okay, a dog's state of mind as control is already manifesting. So again, being expressed by way, again, you see a dog, again, on the prior videos, that is already starting to fixate, starting to lunge forward. And this is where, again, we talk about where a look just isn't a look, okay? And the way you want to line this up, again, I talk about the parenting example, in terms of once a child has already become selfish, okay, it contaminates everything, okay, by way of not having a healthy way of thinking towards others, walking in a situation where, again, in terms of their peers, getting along, sharing toys, where it's all about them. And again, the bad behavior, okay, manifesting, being expressed within certain environments towards other individuals, the parent. So again, I'm connecting dots as to, again, understanding what defines a process once a relationship problem is underway. And again, even at just the common sense level, in terms of, okay, dealing with a relationship problem, trying to define it as a learning-based exercise. Just like, again, once a child has already become selfish, trying to identify it as a learning-based exercise, and then in terms of, again, the role of the parent, in terms of how parents interacting with a child getting in their airspace the right way, how parental influence, okay, is established. Again, I talk about the ingredients by way of, influence and intentional control, which we'll talk about here, because once again, you're going to hear this trainer talking about aspects of control by way of the leash and, again, the pivot point by way of many trainers, by way of a remote collar. Okay, and again, we'll talk about, even in terms of, dogs making sense of, by way of in and through the dog owner, making sense of influence. And again, as defined by a relationship problem. This is where you get in this whole issue about a startled reaction. Okay, and again, this even plays into the Jeff Gellman situation. Okay, if you look at, again, the dog having a startled reaction by way of influence, by way of the bonker, coming through a third party, okay, coming through Gellman versus the dog owner. But again, even that reaction itself, the startled reaction from a dog, attempting to even, interpret and reconcile the reaction that way. This is why so many, even within the balanced dog training community, piling on to that situation in terms of this whole cancel culture. Understand that there's no accidents or coincidence when it comes to the confusion as it relates to what defines a process, as well as the role of influence once a relationship problem is already happening. Again, this is why, again, the prior videos, pay attention. This is why it's very common, again, with balanced dog trainers, understand that they're so focused on the physical, right, on just in terms of, the physical response of a dog doing a sit, but they're not keyed up on or dialed into the dog's state of mind. And again, this is why you'll see the dog's head pivoting, investing, a moment away from lunging forward, right on the edge. And balanced dog trainers are not interrupting or intercepting any of that. So again, major problem. So I'm going to play some of this video, but here's the point. Okay, you're going to hear this trainer talk about bring through the leash. Okay, talking about the leash as defined through, again, the superficial way in which balanced dog trainers engage a relationship problem, and how they're so focused on the remote collar as the main tool, okay, but in a reactive way. Okay, this is why, again, I talk about balanced dog trainers, they're waiting for, a dog for control to already be manifesting at a higher level before they start pushing that button. And again, I encourage you to watch the video I did on the Larry Crone seminar video, which really highlights this problem by way of being dialed into the dog's state of mind the right way, the role of influence. And again, in quotation marks, finding the working level by way, again, as the dog's already expressing control, as it's already manifesting. And then, just like, again, I used the parent example, for a parent to wait until the selfish child is already engaged in bad behavior, not keying up on the fact that it's about to happen based on the current state of the relationship, and then jumping in. Okay, again, that brings more issues into the equation, including, again, even more conflict. And this is why, again, sometimes you'll even have dogs, fighting through the remote collar, okay, based, again, on the fact it's not dialed in the right way. Again, ahead of the curve of the dog's mind. And so dogs will fight through it. And then this is why a lot of times you can't even get these collars off these dogs. Okay, and then when the collar does come off the dog, it seems like, it's just like the dog is just acting out. And so it's like you're leaving the collar on the dog 24/7 because the owner themselves is not being perceived the right way. It's not lining up. So here, pay attention. Again, this trainer is going to be talking about the leash. And, giving the leash kind of a negative connotation, okay? Because, again, when I talk about intentional control, okay, understand coming through how you're connected through the leash, and then being dialed in the right way in terms of the proactive way in which influence is intercepting. And again, this gets into how, if I'm doing a walk, you'll see me doing what I call the one-step method. Okay, a couple of reasons for that in terms of change itself. Again, approaching, interacting in a way that turns into a type of power play. But also in terms, again, of, of taking your time, okay, being dialed in the right way. So as you're moving forward, okay, you're nudging, okay, the dog ahead of time. Okay, you're interacting in a way that's very proactive. Okay, so therefore, in terms of the role of influence, you can just take it down to a base level. Okay, in terms of just the leash and how you're moving. But again, when you're in a reactive posture like balanced dog trainers are in, then it presents a different problem. Okay, because they're delayed. So you're going to hear this trainer talk about the leash in a way in which really kind of corresponds to balanced dog trainers being in a reactive posture when it comes to being dialed into a dog's state of mind the right way.
On this leash. You're leaning too heavily into the leash and not heavily enough on this. Okay. And the problem is leashes, there's nothing inherently aversive about me holding this leash pressure, right?
So the first 10 sessions
was all
leash
pressure. But I'm assuming he was on a different collar at that point, probably.
So again, you hear this trainer talk about, pressure. So even when you try to get some sort of definition, okay, it's very superficial, right? Just talk about pressure. What does that even mean? Well, it's about intentional control. Okay, it's a point of connection, okay, to the dog. So again, coming through, both by way of the leash and the collar, okay, it's about how you're, again, what's being advocated, okay, again, in terms of, influence, the form it's taking through how you're being proactive with being dialed in the right way, which makes all the difference in the world. Okay, understand. You watch my videos, how I'm doing it. So the leash is a important tool. It's part of connection. But here you have a trainer carrying on about, trying to take the focus away from. Because here's the point, because it's reactive, it's delayed, influence delayed, and the focus on here. Of course, you're going to get, the dog's already going to be pulling. So because again it's delayed, you're trying to use the collar as a way to kind of, intercept the dog's state of mind. But because you're delayed anyway, you're not dialed in, well, the leash is now problematic. Okay, it takes on different meaning through balanced dog training. Because understand that everything follows, everything branches off from a process. Okay, it changes the meaning of even certain tools. Okay, with, again, how they line up. And so, again, when you talk about even talking about a leash, you can see how this changes, how a balanced dog trainer interprets the leash.
pinch collar or choke chain or something like that, right?
Exactly.
So you're using more of a correction with the leash.
Yeah.
When you switch over to like a slip lead, at this stage in training, should be doing the communicating, not the leash, right? The leash, us holding him back, all that's going to do is create restraint.
So right here, so he's talking about holding him back, right? So it's not about holding anything back, okay? You know, again, if you're engaging, if you're dialed in the right way, okay? Again, if you're, again, taking your time, not rushing forward, okay? And again, it makes all the difference in the world, right? Just taking it to the base level of, again, just how influence is being transferred in and through the leash, but in such a way that you're catching the moment, okay? Because you're dialed into control just as it's manifest. So even, for example, you see me walking forward, you know, you have a sense because you're dialed in at a level in which you see it coming. So even a dog is just starting to lunge forward or even thinking about lunging forward, you're already nudging a little bit. Okay, you're intercepting a level that the dog's going to be coming to agreement, okay, because it's making more sense because you're not waiting for, it's like the snowball effect. You're not waiting for the snowball to already start rolling forward because you already know that you're dealing with a relationship problem, okay? So you already know you're anticipating certain moments. Just like, again, the parent-child relationship, a parent based, again, on dealing with a selfish child issue of relationship problem, they're anticipating, they already know. You know, they can basically almost like read the child's thought process, okay, as a parent. So therefore, you're on it, okay? You're already, so this is the whole issue about, again, you'll see this happening with balanced dog trainers where they're so focused on the physical that they're missing all of it in terms of actually they're at the relationship level in terms of the dog's state of mind. You know, how a dog's head, you see, a look just isn't a look. Okay, but this plays into how they address certain things, such as, you know, how they pivot off certain devices, you know, in terms of cherry picking certain moments using the remote collar. But again, that presents a problem because, again, it doesn't line up. So a lot of cases, either you're not going to generate the level of, you know, change, relationship change that needs to happen, or again, this can transfer into more stress on the dog in terms of, again, dog trying to push through the collar. You know, certain situations, especially because the dog's saying, you know, I'm willing to take the pain. You'll see it with dogs. I'm willing to take the pain because the issue about, you know, fulfillment, okay, about, you know, pushing through to gain fulfillment on the other side of that collar in terms of another dog. So it's like you just get caught off guard in certain moments because it needs to line up.
Create frustration and cause him to want to go more.
Yeah.
So as you were walking and he's pulling, he had those couple of victories where he pulled really hard and you let him go over towards whatever it was. All that does is teach him, if I really want to get to something, if I fight this leash pressure.
But see, all that shouldn't have happened in the first place. Now notice again, okay, I mean, even as this short little video here, you may catch this moment. There's a dog right over here. And you notice with these balanced dog trainers, the dog's already starting to look, and this trainer, you know, is not focused at all paying attention because understand you need to be in the moment. Okay, if you're dialed into a dog's state of mind, okay, intentional control should already be coming through this leash. Should already, you know, it's like a baseline, I call it. You know, it's like a parental baseline. Okay, intentional control needs to be your foundation, and then you work off of that. But here, you know, he's got this remote collar in his hand, and I talk about device awareness, where a dog says, well, you know what? I know if this might be the most opportune time to try to, you know, lunge out here because, you know, I could get zapped, you know, at a certain point. And so I'll just, you know, play the game and stand here. But it's just about the physical. You know, it's not about the relationship that way. It's not about being dialed in that way. You know, in terms of, again, really fading in the owner. Okay, all the ingredients need to come together the right way. Okay, to really make sense to the dog, to really get, you know, engaged in the dog's level of stinking thinking. Because right here, there's stinking thinking going on right now. This dog is, again, you know, this window is open, so to speak, where this dog, again, can, you know, maintain view with this other dog.
Sure enough, it works. We are dependent on this leash. You're leaning too
I mean, who knows what happened there, okay? It gets clipped over there.
Heavily into the leash and not heavily enough on this.
Okay.
And the problem is leashes, there's nothing inherently aversive about me holding this leash pressure, right?
So again, I guess I just jumped to the first first part of it. But the whole point of all of this is, okay, to understand that, you know, when you hear balanced dog trainers talking, you know, about certain tools, understand that their whole foundation is not based on being dialed in the right way. Okay, not being dialed into both, you know, what defines a process. Again, the pivoting off, you know, remote callers, the way they're pivoting off remote callers. And again, you know, in terms of being delayed. So again, you know, you want to, again, when you talk about the core ingredients, influence and control being part of the equation by way of a intentional interaction-based approach. Okay, it's all about, you know, the themes are about themes of being proactive that way with, again, dealing with dogs' level of stinking thinking. Okay, so again, my encouragement, again, check out my website, lots of great information. But again, when you hear trainers carrying on about leashes and then their whole focus is on remote collar, understand remote collars are a problem because you want to be able to, again, when I talk about, you know, being able to even make certain adjustments, okay, based again on the level of stinking thinking happening. Okay, remote collars are problematic because, again, to make those adjustments through a remote collar to adjust the levels on that, very, very difficult to do, okay, in real time. Whereas, if you're using the leash effectively through intentional control and it's taking the form of a nudge, okay, you can make those adjustments. You're getting real-time information transferred back and forth through the leash. You're able to, again, to affect change and, again, making sense to the dog. Thanks for watching.